My name is McCoy, and I was given this project for Finance 381. For this project, I was to compare three companies to each other, and I was given three questions to answer for each company. The three companies that I choose are Hornbeck Offshore, Marathon Oil, and Valero Energy. All of these have similar fields that they concentrate in, so that's why I chose them. In order to compare these, I was given three questions to answer. The first one is going to be, who would I make a 6-month loan to of $1 million? The second one is, who would I make a 5-year loan to for $1 million? And the third one is, which company would I purchase half of? In order to kind of look at all of these together, I'm going to need to look at the short-term and the long-term solvency ratios. So, for the first question, who would I make a 6-month loan to of $1 million? For this, I'm going to have to look at the current, the quick, and the cash ratios. So, for the current ratios, you're going to look for the highest ratio. And in order to find the current ratio, you need to look at your current assets, and you're going to divide that by your current liabilities. As you can see, Hornbeck is clearly above the rest in these ratios. They're the highest, and it's easy to see. They have a 3.9 ratio in 2010 compared to the 1.54 of Valero. And in 2013, they had a 6.10 ratio compared to the 1.47. So they're going to be our choice for current ratios. Our next ratio is going to be our quick ratio. Our quick ratio is a clear winner, again, with Hornbeck. You can see that with the 6.5 ratio in 2011 and the 5.24 ratio in 2013. So far we have Hornbeck for our current ratio and our quick ratio. Our next ratio is going to be the cash ratio. In order to find this, you're going to look at your cash and you're going to divide that by your current liabilities. For this, Hornbeck, again, is our highest ratio, and it's obvious. Again, you can clearly see that they are above the rest with their ratios. So, when it comes to the question, who would I make my 6-month loan to of $1 million, my clear choice is going to be Hornbeck. Their current, their quick, and their cash ratios are all higher than any of the other competitors. Our next question is, who would I make a 5-year loan to of $1 million? For this, I'm going to look at the equity multiplier and the times interest earned ratio. For the equity multiplier, I'm going to need to look at total assets, and we're going to divide that by our total equity. This, I repeat, is going to be the lowest ratio. This is the only thing we're going to look at tonight that has the lowest ratio. And the lowest ratio shows that they try not to use any debts to finance their assets. And that's what we're looking for as an investor. And so you can see on here that Valero is up here at the top, so they're not our obvious choice. Marathon down here, they're all pretty stable, and Marathon's going to be our choice for equity multiplier. For times interest earned, it's not as obvious because you have Valero over here that's kind of low in the beginning in 2010, but they become the highest ratio in 2014. Marathon, however, has the highest ratio average of all of them, so that's the one that I'm going to choose because they've been the highest for the longest. So, if I was given the question, who would I make a 5-year loan to of $1 million, I would choose Marathon Oil. Whenever I'm given the question, which company would I buy 50% of? There are many ratios that I have to look into. They're going to be the ROE, which is return on equity, return on assets, profit margin, total asset turnover, equity multiplier, and the price earnings ratio. So we're going to look at these and then decide. For the profit margin, we're going to look at the highest ratio for this. And for this, it's pretty clear on here. Even though it's not very stable, you can see that Marathon Oil is consistently the highest. And even in the graph, you can see that with the 27.4 in 2011 and the 28.08 in 2014. So we're going to take this, keep it in the back of our head, and move on to the next ratio. The next ratio is going to be the total asset turnover. Total asset turnover, you're going to look at the highest ratio. Right here, Marathon and Hornbeck are both on the very bottom, and they're very close to each other. And then you have all the way up at the top. So with this, the total asset turnover, it shows the efficiency of a company to use its assets to generate sales. So basically, Valero is using all their assets and getting all their sales from it, where Hornbeck and Marathon are kind of struggling. But with this, we'll take our total asset turnover, we'll multiply it by our profit margin. That gives us our return on assets. Return on assets, you're going to look for the highest. Here, it's kind of difficult to see because, as you notice, we had Marathon on profit margin, we had Valero on total asset turnover. So here, they're kind of combined, they're kind of competing with each other, and it's difficult to choose which one. But it seems as if Marathon is on the top for most of the years. Next is our equity multiplier. We kind of already looked at this. Again, it is our total assets over our total equity, and Valero is the top winner on this one. After this, we'll take our equity multiplier times by our return on assets. That gives us our return on equity. So I repeat, equity multiplier times ROA equals our return on equity. And with this, Marathon stays pretty steady, but Valero has a straight shot up. And so it's kind of difficult to choose. Do you want to choose the one that's higher up in the earlier years, or do you want to choose the one that's still as high, but doesn't reach the same ratios as Valero? So we'll keep that in mind. For our price-earnings ratio, you're going to look for the highest as well. So our first thought would be Hornbeck. Look, they come all the way up here. But as you can see, they dip all the way to 0 in 2011. That's because there's no records of them on the program, and that's a very unstable environment to try to invest in. You don't want to do that. So we'll look at our two more stable competitors, and Marathon is the clear winner. So far we've had about 2 ratios that Valero has been the winner, 3 ratios that Marathon has been the winner. So when I put this in my head, I'm like, okay, Marathon has clearly won. So whenever I was asked which company I would want to purchase 50% of, I chose Marathon Oil. So to go back over everything, whenever I was asked 6-month loan, chose Hornbeck Offshore. For the 5-year loan and for the purchase of 50%, I chose Marathon.